Hello, I'm Maria Hall Brown, and this is LA Currents. Los Angeles has a rich history of supporting creative endeavors, and that is very apparent where we are today, the Los Angeles Municipal Art Gallery. I'm delighted to be joined by the General Manager of the Department of Cultural Affairs, Daniel Tarica, as well as the new curators of La Mag, Hugo Cervantes, and Nancy Meyer. So nice to have you all here today. All right, this is a very historic location. It's been in existence for 70 years. This is its anniversary. What does this gallery mean to the city of Los Angeles and to the Department of Cultural Affairs?
This gallery is such a treasure to the city of Los Angeles. It was created in 1954 as a means to start opening up opportunities for Los Angeles and Southern California artists. In 1969, we had the opportunity to demolish the temporary structure that was built and built this one here, this 10,000 square foot gallery that we are in today.
Wow. And this gallery space has actually been kind of asleep for a little bit of time. When and why did it reopen and why did it close? And what is the exhibit that you're curating that is being showcased now?
The gallery was closed due to the COVID-19 shutdown back in March 2020. We reopened our doors in July 2023 with the COLA exhibition program. And so we wanted to respond to the demands of reopening our doors and to make exhibitions again. And so Hugo and I are working on revitalizing the program with future exhibitions that are upcoming.
And this particular exhibit is?
This is the open call Apophenia, and it's in honor of the 70th anniversary of the gallery's history. We're revisiting the open call format, which was meant to include as many artists living and working in Los Angeles today.
So when you say open call, Hugo, what does that mean? What happened and whose art is here and what was the scope of what you were asking for?
Mm-hmm. Open call literally means open call. We were welcoming all types of artists from Los Angeles and from the 9 counties that make up Southern California. We were looking for works that spoke to our requirements. So that meant height, weight, and some requirements around materials. And we accepted 2D and 3D works, and 350 artists showed up to our doorsteps over the span of 2 days, and Nancy and I had the task to arrange everything.
Did you accept everything, by the way?
Yes. We didn't turn anyone away at the door who met our requirements.
Wow.
And because this is such a historical exhibition, I'll actually ask Hugo to talk a little bit more about the process that you used of interviewing and talking to all the people that were waiting to share their pieces of art. It was really exciting to see how you did that.
That's exciting. There was an interview process, so you got to know the artists as well as just being handed a piece of art.
Yeah, that day for the artwork drop-off, it was all hands on deck. So that meant Nancy and I interacting with artists and taking artwork and really, through that process, really familiarizing with these artists and their stories. It was such a pleasure to learn that it was a multi-generational effort. We got to see artists as young as 18 years old and onward come to our doorsteps with their families and to present work together.
And artists, I imagine, that looked as richly varied as the city itself, young, old.
Young, old,
different,
all from different backgrounds, as far as away from Bakersfield and as close as San Pedro for us. So that was a really nice to see.
What does having a gallery like this mean to the city of Los Angeles, reflecting the tapestry of the wonderful artistry here? But why is it important to the city?
We as a city are so lucky to have the Municipal Art Gallery and so grateful for Aline Barnsdall's vision for creating the campus that we have here. What we are able to do here, as well as many of our other galleries throughout the city, is really be able to exhibit artists that wouldn't necessarily, but may or may not have other opportunities to be able to exhibit. And looking at ways we do that, the gallery has been very forward-thinking about how it works and how it operates and how it brings in artists. Even going back to curators from 50 years ago, thinking about how they were looking to lift up artists and present artists, women and people of color, to really open up those types of opportunities and thinking about how those artists have taken this opportunity as an entry point to be able to then go and present and exhibit locally at greater scales and as well as nationally and internationally. So it really is a jumping off point. And then secondly, this gallery and the work that we do speaks to the cultural tapestry and the framework of what the city is. So it represents and it tells the story of Los Angeles. So it's very exciting to be able to have this as a space to exhibit both new artists as well as experienced artists, to be able to see that there are people at every stage in their career of the 355 pieces of art that are here today.
You could not have said it better. I mean, truly, the diversity of what is in these galleries, you cannot, one work does not look like the other in any way, shape, or form, which obviously reflects what Los Angeles is. I mean, that's one of its greatest assets, its greatest benefits is all of that. So when you were looking for these artists, what is like the scope of age or the scope of experience when you were getting these submissions? Were you taken aback by the difference of the place in their careers and their age and everything?
It was a really lovely surprise to see that it was a multi-generational effort. We got a lot of families that were submitting together. For example, we had an artist, her name is Dory Atlantis, who's a part of the Women House installation project, which is an important piece of performance art history in Los Angeles, and she showed up to our doorsteps with her son. And that was a really touching kind of piece to see how established artists and their families are exhibiting together. That was really unique.
That's an incredible thing. And to that point, the title of this exhibit, I'm afraid to say it, but I'm going to try. Apophenia?
Apophenia.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Well, so the title is derived from an artwork in the exhibition. And while we were hanging the show, we all were in conversation with one another and, doing the installation, and we happened to see the word in the artwork. And we did some research and looked into it because none of us really knew what the word meant. And it sounded like something we should know. So apophenia means the tendency to want to perceive or make meaning among unrelated and random things, such as objects and ideas. So we thought that in this situation for the open call, with so many artworks that are in the show that are so different from one another, but also our curatorial approach in trying to make sense of the show, we thought that the exhibition should be aptly named Apophenia.
That's a good point. I mean, you're both curators by trade, but when you curate something, what's the process? You just look at everything in front of you and decide, I don't know where to put this. Or you look at everything in front of you and something comes into your mind, you visualize where things go. How was this show curated?
So it was a process. It was a 2-day, so we began with intaking artwork, and that was a 2-day process where artworks were dropped off, they were condition reported, and then kept away in the galleries. And then the following week, Nancy and I looked at all of the artwork together, and we slowly started to sort things out. And it was really interesting to see that a big bulk of the artwork submitted was referencing Los Angeles imagery. So that was our first starting point to begin to organize 350 artworks.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And then once it's up, do you move things around? I know that's a silly question, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, typically not. I mean, we did do a lot of jostling around and reorganizing based on size limitations and the parameters that we were working within. So mostly what you're seeing are artworks that are organized by theme or by subject matter, aesthetics, and also color coding. And overall, we would make some of those curatorial decisions as the process was happening. And I have to say, we were also working really closely with our exhibition preparator, who really had an eye for the details and some of the logistical things like, lighting and whatnot. So once it was placed, it was hung, and we kept it there for the most part.
So normally in a setting like this, in an open call, you were mentioning earlier that there was an award kind of experience. And in this particular case, there is, but it's a unique opportunity for an artist. So what is happening with some of the artwork that's being designated as an opportunity?
Right. So we wanted to move away from the award system. What we really wanted to do was work with artists on professional development and really helping them and giving them an opportunity to work closely with us in developing a solo exhibition. So in the past, there was a first prize, second prize, third prize with a monetary value to it. And Hugo and I both decided that what would be in the best interest for the artist would be to, for possibly a long-term career, for long-term career longevity, that what we could help do is help them with a solo project. So that's what's unique about this exhibition. It's also our way of reestablishing ourselves in the community as well as trying to build on the legacy of what has been done here before and what we would like to do in the future.
So what does a solo project mean?
So solo project means Nancy and I are going to select 2 artists from this 350-person show and work with them over the year to develop and identify artworks and to create ultimately an exhibition in our project space. And that will happen sometime next year.
Very exciting. And from an artist's perspective in a broad sense, Los Angeles is really becoming more of a place where renowned artists are, I'm being seen and being, I think of Bradford, I think of Mark Bradford, So how are we doing in the art world in general when it comes to Los Angeles?
I think Los Angeles is at a really exciting moment. I think that our artists are being recognized more. Our different cultures across the city and the artworks presented through those cultures are being recognized more. And I think that we as a department have a role to play in that. We play a role here in the gallery, we play it at our art centers, and developing community and developing young artists through our educational programming as well. And I think that as we look ahead at the opportunities that are coming to Los Angeles and international events that are coming and national over the next few years, there are huge opportunities for us to continue this growth and really looking for opportunities to partner, looking for opportunities to showcase the incredible talent that we have here and share it with the world.
On the spot, how many art centers do we have in the city?
We have 9.
9? That's exciting.
We have 9 art centers, we have 6 theaters, we have 2 historic sites.
Okay.
So it's very exciting to see what we have and how we're able to use and engage and use those as community building spaces and educational spaces.
As part of the history of this particular Municipal Art Gallery, there was performance art. And there's also controversial art. I mean, I know there was some, when I was doing a little bit of my research, so there was some commentary, political commentary about, that's communist or whatever it was back in, the 50s. But are there plans in the future for maybe expanding the type of art you can see in La Mag, whether it's, performance art or whether it's, because you've got the space.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally could have gotten lost when I first came wandering. So do you have grand plans for what you hope to do here?
I think overall, since our emphasis is on contemporary art, that it's naturally multidisciplinary. So we do have the space that lends itself for big installations, for performances, and for anything that would require something beyond the 2D works on the wall. So we definitely want to use the space as much as possible. I mean, we're very early in our planning stages. We both just started our positions here, but at least my plan is to hopefully develop programming to include public programs as well, conversations, symposiums, workshops, interaction with other departments, hopefully within the Department of Cultural Affairs and the other venues that are here up on the Hill with us as well.
Do you consider yourself an educational institution as well as an artistic one?
Absolutely.
Very cool. What brought you here, by the way?
Well, I'm born and raised here in Los Angeles. I was actually born at the hospital right next door, so did not move far. I'm I love this city. I've been working in the arts for over 20 years, and I've worked at big institutions, I've worked at nonprofit organizations, I've worked independently. And when this opportunity arose, I really wanted to be a part of its history and to uphold its legacy. So it has a very personal meaning to me, and I felt kind of a responsibility as well. So.
And as a curator, I mean, we were talking earlier, you love to help artists blossom and understand their work. And so what drew you to this particular place, Hugo?
Similar to Nancy, born and raised in Los Angeles. And to me, the proudest thing that I wanted to contribute to LAMAG was to continue to shepherd amazing artists through our doors and to help them facilitate their work and personally, professionally, and to really be a resource to artists.
So when you put this together and you got to go from place to place to place, is there something that just you were elated that you got to see? I don't know if there's a particular medium that's a favorite of you. I mean, I'm looking over your shoulder and there's an incredible work of art using lint. Yeah. I mean, so are there things that really you as a curator, you said, oh my gosh, this is really innovative, exciting, and I'm so thrilled that we get to share that with the public?
I think the most innovative part to me was seeing all the impact the gallery has had. For example, the gallery is adjacent to the Junior Arts Art Center, and it was amazing to see how many students from that center who took classes there, developed their practice, enthusiastically showed up to our doors and were eager to have their work on their walls. And so to me, that kind of illustrates a multi-generational and a lifelong kind of impact that the Department of Cultural Affairs has had to artist communities in Los Angeles.
Are you noticing a trend in contemporary art, or is it really all over the place?
In this particular show,
Yeah.
or in general?
In this show.
The works are very different. Everything is quite unique. So I cannot identify a specific trend. Can you?
I think the through line of all of the works here is seeing what artists are making now. And I think it's very, I don't know, I think this is a reflection of what artists are making now. And I think it really demonstrates that a lot of artists are at home in their limited space and making work within those confines.
Oh, interesting.
And I think that's what you kind of see here. Obviously, the pandemic was a very meaningful shift in a lot of people's routines and lives. And I think the artwork here kind of reflects how artists are approaching art making now.
The reason I ask is because sometimes art is political. Sometimes art is expression of internal turmoil. Sometimes art is celebration of life and beauty and joy. But to your point, obviously the pandemic changed something in the life of an artist to show that. And so you saw that in what is being brought in today.
Yeah.
Do you look at art from the Department of Cultural Affairs as kind of a timeline and a history of the city?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think art tells a story, and art inspires conversation. So as you look at it, and as I think about many of the different shows we've had here, as well as at our Watts Towers Art Center and our William Grant Still Art Center, the shows do tell a story. The shows do show an evolution, and it shows movement forward, it shows steps back, it shows challenges that we've had as a city, as individual cultures within a larger culture, and art inspires that conversation. Art, and I think that art in that way invites people in. So it invites people in to see and learn more about those other cultures, and how the artists use their medium to be able to tell where they are and who they are, and thinking about that both in visual arts and performing arts. And the other piece I will add is the educational programming that we do as part of it, as a way to help understand and for the artists to have an opportunity to be able to tell more directly what their story is through their art, and then create a dialogue.
And one of the things I think is fascinating about contemporary art is that you never actually know what the impact is going to be until you get a little bit of an arm's length on it, because you see some of the things today and you may not realize its cultural and historic import until we have a little bit of perspective. But the problem with contemporary art is sometimes it's inexplicable. And sometimes those that don't have experience with it are intimidated or may not quite understand. And now you have this. So what are you doing here so that you can make it more available to people who may not have an experience with fine art or may not understand it? I mean, how is it being not just curated, but shared for somebody who can bring a family and say, I don't know what this means, and you can figure it out?
Well, first off, I think it's important that we present an exhibition that's subjective. I mean, it really is up to the viewer on how they want to experience the work, and we create the opportunity to inform visitors as much as possible by talking with our gallery attendants and informing them of some of the talking points. And there are certain things that are thematic and that do need some discussion and some context around it. But overall, we want to invite the viewer to experience it in the way that they would like to.
So if someone wants to come to the exhibit and they kind of want a little bit of a handheld experience, is that opportunity available to them? Is there a book? Are you giving tour? What's going on a practical level so people can enjoy it?
So when guests enter the gallery, they're going to be often greeted by our fabulous gallery attendants, and they do an amazing job of teaching the public and about the exhibition and our programs and our shows.
Okay, so let's do the nuts and bolts. If somebody wants to come and see the exhibit, when's it open? How much does it cost? That kind of thing.
The gallery is free. Folks are welcome to check out our website, lamag.org, for more information about upcoming exhibits. Our gallery hours are Thursday through Saturday, 11 to 4 p.m. Folks are also welcome to check out culturela.org to see all variety of programs taking place in the city.
The small plug for the rest of the campus as well. I believe Hollyhock House is open during those same hours. So there are opportunities to also go for tours over there. Those tours do need to be booked in advance, though.
Are there many places in the country that have this cluster of this kind of opportunity? I mean, I think, this is the generosity of one very innovative, creative, and generous woman who saw the potential and the possibility here. How special is it that we have this here?
This is a really special place. Barnsdall Park is very unique in that respect, that we have a gallery, we have a theater, we have 2 art centers, we have historic sites. So it was really a magical space. We have a similar space in Watts. And when you look at it nationally, I think that we are very unique because most cities don't run their own art centers. We are unique as a city of Los Angeles, and I'm grateful to our mayor and our city council for continuing to support us in these endeavors to be able to run these art centers and be able to do it with the lens of the whole city and be able to do it as a municipality. So we're really very grateful for that.
Well, this is very exciting. Congratulations to both of you. You've done a magnificent job in putting it all together. And lovely to see you again. And congratulations. I mean, the Department of Cultural Affairs for Los Angeles is truly a gift to the city. And I hope that we get to come back and see more exhibits.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on this artistic LA Current.